Hi, my name is Megan Altum, and I'm a second-year occupational therapy student at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. I am so excited to get to share with you today my in-service video discussing occupational therapy services via telehealth. By the end of this session, we will identify one advantage and one challenge to telehealth services, and we will identify information regarding telehealth services that has been learned throughout the presentation. As we know right now, telehealth is a big topic. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of clients were shuffled into telehealth services. A lot of businesses forced overnight into being able to treat their clients online to minimize exposure to the virus. We've also heard a lot of discussion from the government if Medicare and Medicaid will provide reimbursement and how reimbursement will work if it's going to be the same via telehealth as it is in-person services. So, to start off, I wanted to give the American Occupational Therapy Association definition for telehealth in OT services. AOTA defines telehealth in occupational therapy as the application of telecommunication and information technologies for the delivery of rehabilitation services. So right now, I want you to go ahead and pause me, and I want you to brain dump. I want you to take a couple of minutes and just write down some things that you think of right now that are pros and cons to telehealth services for occupational therapy. Okay, now that we're back, I want you to look over your list and just really pause to think about what you wrote down. I have attached a video that I want you to watch now, so you can go ahead and pause me again. And this video is just a short clip that gives you a good idea of what telehealth is and a lot of the pros and cons that come along with it, and just a lot of information rolled up into one short video. So go ahead and watch that and then meet me back here. Okay, so I hope that video was interesting and it kept your attention to be able to give you all the information. I thought it was very valuable, and it rolled everything into one short and concise video and helped out your learning. Now, I have a friend who actually graduated from the same program a couple of years ago, and her name is Rachel Henderson, and she recently got switched to telehealth services due to COVID-19. She's a pediatric occupational therapist, and she was practicing in Colorado before she moved home to Tennessee. So I got with her to get the first-hand experience of a new practitioner being switched into telehealth services and just what it was like for her and what she saw from it. So I'm going to go ahead and share this interview with you. The first thing I asked her was, how was your experience transitioning to telehealth services in the wake of COVID-19? Rachel said that at first it was overwhelming and it was uncertain for both the therapists and the parents. There were several families that did not think that it would work for their children, and they were not on board with it. And there was a lot of families that didn't have the internet access or devices needed to be able to participate in telehealth services. She said she was thankful to work with a company that went above and beyond for their clients, and the company worked to get the families and provide them with everything they needed for telehealth services. She said it was important for them to emphasize how important it was to continue carrying on services. She said she was able to keep all but one or two of her clients on her caseload via telehealth. She said it happened really suddenly when they switched to telehealth. She was home health, and so she was seeing her kids on a Monday in their home, just like usual, and by Wednesday, they were switching everything over to virtual. She said she had incredible support and resources from her company. There was several discussions about the evidence-based research behind this model of delivery, and there was a great community of therapists that were sharing tons of resources and tips and tricks for all of their sessions. Secondly, I asked her if she felt like she was able to see the same results via telehealth as she was when she was seeing her kids in person. She said yes and no. It's that lovely gray area that we occupational therapists love. She said honestly it depended on the child, what their goals were, and the parent involvement and support on if it showed the same results. Another issue was, of course, the devices and the resources in the home. She said that a lot of the homes that she went to had limited resources, and she never really noticed it because she always brought her bag with her. She said that she actually had a lot of stuff sent from Amazon to her clients' homes so that they could use them in their sessions, and they could be helpful when it comes to working on the interventions. She said that it made it difficult, but it challenged her to get creative and worked more with the family in coordination with what they had in the home. She said the more creativity and more coordination she felt led to more carryover. The big thing she stated, however, was the ability to see results relied heavily on parent involvement. Next, I asked her, what positives did you see from telehealth services? She said, as a therapist, it increased her knowledge and skill with parent coaching and education. She said because she has no kids of her own, she was hesitant and a little uneasy about telling parents what they need to do with their children. But she said that telehealth put the therapists out of their comfort zones, as well as the parents out of their comfort zones, and they had to work together on being able to provide for their child. She said that the telehealth supported better parent and caregiver involvement, and that she was able to see more parent and child relationships thrive through therapy, and it increased carryover. I asked, did she see any negatives from telehealth services? She started off with a list of all the negatives she saw. She said internet connection, having resources in the home, being unable to provide hands-on assistance for the challenging tasks, difficulty providing sensory input outside of parent coaching, and building relationships was what made telehealth services difficult. She said to her the most important thing was communication and building rapport, and this was hard to do over the computer. She said that it was more difficult because she seen one child that she started seeing directly through telehealth. She never met them in person, never had a one-on-one session with them, never had that hands-on with that client. And then she had all the clients that she had seen before and then switched them to telehealth. And she said it was much more difficult for the new client for them to build a relationship and build that trust than it was for the ones that she had already started seeing. Lastly, I asked her, since she now has a new job and she moved home, if she would ever consider working in telehealth again. She said yes, and she's actually still seeing clients from Colorado virtually. She's lucky that she's able to work for 2 companies that support her, and that she has families that are not yet ready to transition back to in-person because of their fear of the COVID. In-person therapy has some kids that she believes solely need the in-person, but she also said she had some clients and families that she thought would very much benefit from having telehealth services, just telehealth. She said, honestly, a hybrid would be very beneficial where they could see clients in person and virtually. She finished up our discussion with this. She said, telehealth is a great option right now, but beyond COVID, it could be appropriate and valuable for some families. It's not the best option for everyone, however, but for the kids who would not benefit from it routinely, it could also still be beneficial in some areas. She said when it comes to sessions regarding recertification paperwork, makeups, or when sickness and weather play into if they can get into the clinic, she was like, virtual therapy would be a great option. I thought it was great to get to sit down with someone that has had first-hand experience with this and has went from being a new therapist in a new area to being solely online. And it was great to see what she thought was good and bad when it came to her kids and the progress that she saw. So, as we know, we are currently dealing with a lot of discussion revolving payment and reimbursement when it comes to telehealth. I'm a member of the Tennessee Occupational Therapy Association, so TNOTA. And if you're a member as well, you got the same email discussing where Tennessee is at regarding this. So, Governor Bill Lee had an Executive Order 15, And under this, it said that all providers under Title 63 were permitted to practice telemedicine in Tennessee and receive equal reimbursement as in-person services. However, this expired on June 30th of 2020. And because of this, people are losing coverage unless we can make this change permanent. Senate Bill 1892 and House Bill 1699 actually passed both chambers of the Tennessee General Assembly. However, they were different versions. The House bill reflected Governor Bill Lee's decision for equal reimbursement, but the Senate version did not, and it did not mandate payment parity for providers. On Monday, August 10th, the legislature's special session met, and we're still waiting to hear how it went and where we stand. If you are wanting to make a difference and advocate for our profession, I encourage you to reach out and send an email to your senator letting them know the importance of occupational therapy and how it is important that they still be able to receive telehealth services. So before I let you go, I want you to go ahead and leave a comment under this video and just let me know one thing that you've learned throughout this session. One thing that you didn't know about telehealth or anything that was interesting to you. I have a AJOT article, so the American Journal of Occupational Therapy, that is attached, and it was an article that was very well written, and it was just really interesting to me, and it gave me a lot of information that I was looking for, and I think it is very beneficial, so if you want to give that a read, I have attached it as well. You can go to their website. They have numerous resources and articles that are really helpful if you're more interested in telehealth. And also, they have this neat part that I found where it discusses all of the regulations and notes specific to each state regarding occupational therapy and telehealth. So, before I go, I have a Kahoot that I made. You can go ahead and play it. It's a short Kahoot just to wrap up everything you've learned. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you've learned something from it. Thanks. Bye.